Who is Daniel Shays, and why does he have a rebellion named after him? Daniel Shays was a farmer from Massachusetts who joined the state militia and bled, froze, and starved for his new country during the Revolutionary War. He was even awarded a sword for bravery in the Battle of Saratoga, and the sword was presented to him by Washington himself. But Shays wasn't paid in money for his service in the military. Instead, he and other soldiers were paid in war bonds. That is to say, just state government IOUs. And because so many of those soldiers were desperate to provide for their families immediately, they sold their war bonds away to wealthy speculators for pennies on the dollar. When Shays and those other soldiers came home from the war, they didn't have anything. So they borrowed supplies, seeds, farming tools from the local general store on credit. They were supposed to raise crops for a year, sell the crops, pay the loans back, and then have something profit left over for themselves. The problem was in Massachusetts after the Revolution, crop prices collapsed. So when Shays and the farmers can't pay their loans back, they get hauled into debtor's court. So Daniel Shays and his cohort soldiers were furious about state tax increases that were imposed upon them to pay off the speculators' bonds at full value. They viewed this as the same injustice as was put on them by the British. So in late 1786 and early 1787, Daniel Shays organized an army of angry ex-soldiers that attacked county courthouses where the trials of the debtors were taking place. They tarred and feathered the judges that were sentencing the men to debtor's prison. They disbanded the courts by force and destroyed all court records. So this to them was just a repeat of the spirit of '76. They felt if they were justified in forcibly resisting British rule, they were now again justified in resisting this set of injustice. But Shays' rebellion frightened Americans in all corners of the country because the conditions of Shays' rebellion really existed everywhere, and the state governments weren't really strong enough to handle armed insurrections of large numbers of people just by themselves. So today we have the issues of returning soldiers, soldiers coming home from overseas, from loyal service in Iraq and Afghanistan, that are facing mortgages that they can't pay, economic hardships, bills that they can't pay, credit card bills that may be behind. So the question for us is, should we extend their debts? Should soldiers be provided relief from debt foreclosure in the present time? Also, we can think about student loans being extended. There's many young students that have education debt that they're struggling to pay. So in the end, was Daniel Shays an economic hero in our history for fighting for Revolutionary War soldiers that had fallen on hard times? It is a heartbreaking thing to think that Shays had his sword for bravery given to him by Washington himself, seized and confiscated by the court and auctioned off to pay his bills. It'd be sort of like taking away a man's Medal of Honor today. I don't think we'd really want to do that. For more on the politics of debt in the young republic, go to my website and see a post called, "What Would Alexander Hamilton Do About Debt?" Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Again, I'm Bob G., the History Doctor. Hope to see you soon.